Now, over the past few months, there have been many myths going around about the coronavirus, some more worrying than others. So how do we know what's fact and fiction?
Here to debunk some of the most common myths is Dr. Matt O Toole, who was good enough to stop by after going viral recently with his video debunking face mask myths. Over 20 million views to date. That's incredible. But people obviously had a lot of questions surrounding face masks.
Yeah, so I think the reason it went viral in the States in particular is because the wearing of masks has become such a big issue in the States, way more than it has been here. So it really got picked up by the news channels over there and really became a thing, which is great, you know.
Well, when the president of the country doesn't wear a mask, it kind of sets a tone, doesn't it?
Exactly, yeah, exactly. But what we have seen, I suppose, in the last 2 or 3 weeks since the wearing of face masks has become mandatory on public transport, there has been a bit of a movement against masks, which is a bit worrying. And I think it's important that people understand that they're safe and that it's really important to wear them.
Sure. Now, you, on the viral video, had hooked yourself up to an oxygen machine and then you put on the 6 mask to show that your oxygen levels haven't come down. A couple of people texted in saying that's all well and good, but Dr. Matt is healthy and young. So what happens if we have underlying conditions and, you know, we're 20 years older than him? Will that make a difference? No,
and I think that's really important. So the big thing that people say that have underlying lung conditions like asthma or COPD, and they're the predominant group that are coming into us actually looking for advice, is that they're worried that it will lower your oxygen levels. But the reality is that it doesn't. So no matter what you have, whether it's a cotton face covering or a surgical face mask, if you wear it, it won't lower your oxygen levels. What it does is it reduces the airflow around your mouth, which can be uncomfortable, but at no point will it lower your oxygen levels, and that's a really important message to get out,
so
whether your lungs are healthy or not.
Uncomfortable or it's disconcerting. You know, we need to get used to it, don't we? Sometimes I feel like your peripheral vision is affected in the supermarket. Maybe that's just me. But, you know, there's some adjustment. So you're going to do a live demonstration of what you did in that video here this morning for us, Dr. Matt.
Yeah, so as I said, what I did at the time was put 6 of them on. But whether you have 6 or 1 on, as I said, it doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do is just show you when you've the face mask with the face covering on. It doesn't lower your oxygen levels at all. So that'll come up now in a minute.
So that's your oxygen monitor on your finger.
Yeah. So if you can see there, my oxygen levels are at 98%, which is completely normal.
What is the normal range, actually?
So, I mean, anywhere between, we would say 94 to 100.
Okay.
But, I mean, I could leave this on for the next 8 hours and my oxygen levels will stay at 98% persistently all the time.
And you could put multiple masks on, as you did in that video, Matt.
Yeah, so, I mean, I put 6 masks on and my oxygen levels remained at 98, 99% throughout.
And what about workers who might be outdoor doing construction work or maybe going to the gym, and maybe the gym has a policy of face masks? I don't know if they do. So strenuous exercise and you have a face mask on, is that going to...
No, so the WHO has recommended that we don't wear face masks when we're exercising, particularly running. And again, the reason for that is that the reduction in airflow, when you're running, you're breathing hard, you're breathing fast, it makes it uncomfortable. And the added thing is if you're sweating, the mask will start to become damp and will reduce the airflow further. So what I've advised people to do is if you are running, just run outdoors. It's much safer anyway, you know.
Okay, and most of your activities, if you can do them outdoors, it's certainly the safest place, isn't it?
Absolutely, 100%.
You have a medical mask there, but a lot of people have bought cloth masks. Are they just as effective?
They're just as effective, so it doesn't matter what the mask is made from. I wear cloth masks when I'm not at work, and the reason I brought these are is because I couldn't get anything more than 1 cloth mask on my face. But cloth masks are just as effective, and again, they don't reduce your oxygen levels.
And if you're buying cloth masks online, which I'm sure we all have recently, you'll quite often see details about the spec of the mask. You know, it's double or it's triple lined. What should we be buying?
Ideally, triple ply or triple lined cloth masks are what we should be buying now. The vast majority of the ones that you find online are the spec that we need. The reality is you can actually make them at home. So there's loads of YouTube videos. You can make them from old T-shirts or, you know, old towels or whatever you want. But yeah, triple ply ideally, and that's just to make sure that they're as effective as possible.
If I'm not feeling sick, if I'm in my full health, do I need to wear a mask?
You do. And the reason is over half of people that have COVID don't know they have it. And they're the people that are spreading it. And the beauty with masks are, if you wear a mask, you're not only protecting yourself from picking it up, but you're actually protecting others from giving it to them. So as I said, over half the people that have COVID have no symptoms. So if they're wearing a mask, they won't transmit it to other people. So you do have to wear a mask.
Are these things that people have said to you, these myths? Obviously, we're going through them for a reason. If I'm not sick, I don't need to wear a mask. Have you heard people actually say that to you?
Yeah, and I suppose the other thing we're getting at the moment is people who are close contacts of people that are known to have COVID-19 are ringing us and saying, look, I've been told by public health I'm a close contact, but I don't feel sick, so I'm not going to get tested. The reality is that over half of people that have COVID don't have symptoms, so you need to get tested. So you might feel completely fine, but if you are a close contact, you should get tested. And if you are indoors and you can socially distance, you should wear a mask because you could have it without knowing it.
Plus, you're protecting other people as well as yourself. It's not just about you, is it?
Exactly, and that's a hugely important message.
If you're wearing a mask, do you need to social distance? Does it cancel out the social distancing?
No, and social distancing is the single most effective tool when it comes to COVID-19. So if you put 2 meters between yourself and someone else, you're pretty much protected from COVID-19, even if they have it. What the face covering allows you to do is to get closer to them, but that doesn't mean that you should do it. It's in situations where you can control that. So on public transport, for example, or when you're shopping. But the first rule is to socially distance from other people. Wear a face covering will protect you, but social distance is the first thing you should do.
Okay, the other myth you hear a little bit, my mask just needs to cover my mouth.
Yeah, so I suppose when I'm driving around town, I see people wearing masks and they're more like fashion accessories than actual protective equipment in terms of the way they wear them. They have to cover your mouth and they have to cover your nose. So a lot of people hang them off one ear, a lot of people have them down under their chin. But the reality is, unless it's covering your nose and your face fully, it's not protecting you and it's not protecting others.
And if you are wearing it around town, going in and out of shops or whatever, and then you go for a coffee or something to eat and you take off your mask, obviously, to eat or drink, it shouldn't necessarily be hanging off your ear, should it? It should be folded up in a safe place.
Yeah, and put into a Ziploc bag, ideally.
Yeah.
And when you're taking it off, the most important thing is not to touch the front of it. So if you're taking it off, you use the ear loops, you just don't touch the front of it. And the reason is you could be walking around, someone with COVID might cough on you, and that might get deposited on the front of the mask. And that's totally fine, as long as you don't touch the front of the mask. So when you are taking the mask off and going for a coffee, don't touch the front of it and just put it into a Ziploc bag to keep it safe. And if you do that, you're totally protected.
But Anna's mentioning that you might take a break to have a coffee or a bite to eat, and you put your mask into a Ziploc bag and then you pop it back on your face. When you get home from doing your errands or from work at the end of the day, can you use that same mask the next day?
No, so ideally what you should do is clean it in a 60-degree wash. So the idea would be, in a perfect world, you'd put it on once and take it off once and put it directly into the wash. Now, that's not practical in a lot of situations, but you should wash it as frequently as possible in a 60-degree wash.
Okay. When we say a 60-degree wash, what I've been doing is under hot water with soap. Yeah. You know, and let it dry, and it just becomes kind of part of your lifestyle, doesn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Another myth that people are suggesting is if they wear a mask, it'll actually make them sick. I don't really understand why they would think that, but people do.
Yeah, and it doesn't, as I said. So the reason I did the video was the commonest thing you're reading on social media at the moment when it comes to masks is that when you wear a mask, that it'll lower your oxygen levels or increase your carbon dioxide levels. And it just doesn't. And the WHO actually had to come out and release a statement to say that. So wearing a mask will not make you sick. What will make you sick is COVID-19.
Okay.
Do you think the cultural, just before we let you go, Matt, exchange of shaking hands and, that whole ritual in business, in life, do you think that's gone forever?
Yeah, I was talking to a colleague about this yesterday, and if you think of the way that we've normally treated the flu, so with the flu, we would send kids to school when they had fevers, we would go to work even though we were half dead with the flu. We can't do that anymore because, again, as you were saying early on, it's not about us anymore, it's about other people. Yeah. And with COVID-19, if you feel unwell, there's a huge risk you might give it to someone else. So I hate to use the term, it's really cliched, but I think this is the new normal going forward.
Okay, Dr. Matt, a mine of information as always. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks Matt.
Thanks.
Now, a reminder that if you do have any symptoms of coronavirus, you should self-isolate immediately and phone your GP.
We're going to take a quick break now, but we're up in the kitchen next.